Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video, we're going to talk about a headline that I don't know. Well, this was June 7th. There's been a bunch of them lately that yeah, fish are testing positive for drugs. So it's not really news. Pharmaceutical drugs have been found in tap water for a while now. Everything gets thrown away, everything gets dumped down the sink, everything exits the human body, and wastewater plants aren't set up to test for drugs, and things just get into the water by being flushed down, or any one of a number of ways. But now there was just some studies done that they're finding drugs in the fish in Florida right here. This was in Biscayne Bay. This is the saltwatersportsman.com. And yeah, researchers sampled 93 bonefish in South Florida since 2018. An average of 7 prescription drugs were found per bonefish. 17 drugs were found in a single fish. And they say they also found pharmaceuticals in bonefish prey, including crabs, shrimp, and finfish. And this now you're eating this fish. So, the fish live in water that the way the water is cycled through, and the way water treatment plants go, from one town down the river, which is how it gets into tap water. It, it it just keeps moving down and down, and then it goes out into the ocean. So So I said that that the bonefish are getting drug tested. Hey, join the club, I guess, right? Why should the fish be any different? Um, and so it says that they found pre- pressure medication, antidepressants, prostate treatment and medication, antibiotics, and pain relievers were among the long list of over-the-counter drugs encountered. They also found an average of 11 pharmaceuticals in forage species that the bonefish commonly feed on, so which suggests that many of Florida's other valuable fisheries could also be exposed. You think? I think that's pretty much good odds to bet on. These findings are truly alarming. What? Truly alarming. Where are these people that are reading this? I mean, this has been news for years that pharmaceutical drugs are in tap water. But so how is it truly alarming that that water that then gets discharged into the ocean doesn't then get into fish just because they're invisible? Just like all of the radioactive waste that's getting into the water from Fukushima. You think that's not making the ocean and the ocean critters radioactive? That would be truly alarming if researchers found that out. I mean, did these people really think they were going to find anything different than that? So that's a scary statement in itself. Seriously, that's just. But coastal fisheries face increasing threats associated with human-based contaminants. Pharmaceuticals are often overlooked dimension of water quality, and their presence in South Florida bonefish is cause for concern. So it says that Florida's recreational saltwater fishing, which has an annual economic impact of 9.2 billion, and directly supports 88,500 jobs. So right here it says 5 billion prescriptions are filled each year. I think further down in here, or maybe in a different article, it says 6.2 billion in 2020. But think about that, okay? 5 billion prescriptions a year in America. You always hear we are the most over-medicated country. And you know what that means? That means 5 billion prescription containers and caps and labels and tape that goes over the labels, and then the little bag that they put it in with the staple on top of it that they send you out of the store with them in. You know how much waste and pollution that is too. So that's just that's a sad figure. We are just the most over medicated people, and now our fish are becoming the same. So what it says here is that there's no environmental regulations for the proper disposal of pharmaceuticals, and contaminants originate often in human wastewater, and they're not sufficiently removed by conventional water treatment. They remain active at low doses and can be released constantly. The exposure could affect all aspects of fish behavior, with negative consequences for both their reproduction and survival. Yeah, they say that they've been shown to affect all aspects of life of fish, including their feeding, level of activity, social ability, and migratory behavior. So, sure. I don't know. You get these people on their Prozac, you get the hyped up ones, you get the completely solemn medicated one. It's So this is headlines right now. Here's another article. Florida fish are on an alarming number of prescription drugs, scientists discover. This is Tuesday the 31st. I think that's May 31st, 2022. Now this is interesting too, because climate report is a dismal litany of humanity's failure, says the UN Secretary General. And the UN has been refusing the solutions the world needs since the 90s, and they continue to this day. So, this is more hype coming out of them. Yeah, they want solutions, but they have been holding up the environmental education and agenda. And when we're at dire situation, like they've been saying for decades, you have to do every feasible solution. And since the environmental education and agenda can't be argued against, especially the first five, you can't you can't not do it. But here, look at this. It's right here, just at the top of that article there. But right here, with 17 different prescription drugs, we're in a single fish. So an average of 7 per fish. That's oh boy. So right here, this adds antidepressants, antibiotics, and pain relievers to the list of the medications that I read out before. It says even at low doses, exposure to pharma drugs can impact the fish behavior. So, yep. And this is Jennifer, Rehage. Oh, yeah. She's the one who called it truly alarming. Okay, how did she not know that? If you ask me, do the fish have drugs in them? I'd be like, probably. How can they not? They're living in the water that our wastewater goes out to. We know it's in tap water. We know it gets moved down the line. How can the fish not have it in their bodies? Okay, so so much for the brilliance of the people that do research. So it's they say it isn't only Florida fish that are being impacted by drugs. No, I'm sure it's everywhere. It says pharmaceuticals are present at over 25% of testing sites along 258 rivers around the world, including the Amazon and the Thames. And yeah, the drugs are everywhere. Everything gets into the water, just like everything gets into the air, like everything gets into the soil, and then eventually it surfaces because it becomes part of the process. And people that use the water or live in the water are going to get it into their systems. So, oh, it also includes caffeine, right? Okay. Yeah, everybody jumping their coffee down the drains, and now we got fish that are under the influence of quadruple double shots of espresso, Yeah, I don't know. So, here's another. This is the Daily Mail. This is May 30th, 2022. It says they're testing positive for a slew of pharmaceuticals as human wastewater makes its way out into the sea. It says they collected the blood and tissue samples, and that's what they did the testing on. Just like human testing. So right here it says the study comes after 3 years of a similar study in Australia, which found fluoxetine, which is the main ingredient in the antidepressant Prozac, that disrupts the foraging behavior of freshwater species in mosquito fish, which is found in waterways in both the United States and Australia. So, they found this 3 years ago. It's really, it really isn't that much of a surprise. And it's actually at the end of this article here that says that in 2020, there was a total of 6.3 billion prescriptions in the US, just filled in the US. That is just an alarming amount of prescriptions. We are an over-medicated country, and that's prescription bottles and caps and everything else, and packaging and transportation packaging, all so that, yeah, look at that little harmless, just out there in the water, having no idea. He's, oh, what am I taking in today? Prozac? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking in caffeine. Every day maybe they're taking in something different. So that'll that'll catch you off guard, especially when you don't even know it's coming. So, I guess the moral of this story here is this just proves that our actions have consequences. Little actions add up, and then they get, dispersed down the way. It doesn't just end when they're thrown out or they're consumed. So, and that's everything, whether we're putting it into the air, the water, or the soil. That is really how a lot of things work these days. And if we just start being a lot more responsible, right here, they're advocating for better wastewater procedures, and they're advocating that the disposal of prescriptions becomes regulated so that it isn't in our tap water and it isn't, where fish are living, so that fish are now testing positive for drugs. So I bet you there's a few recreational drugs involved in that too. So stay tuned, people.